I was really nervous. Like I came to uni like from college, and I was just nervous about coming to uni for starters. I didn't think I was like that impressive. I didn't think I was struggling with like whether I should be here or not. So I was like, what if my mentor thinks I'm rubbish? Like what if she thinks I'm like not worth her time? But then we met and it was just completely the opposite, because we were very similar. Like in the stage that she came to university, she had the same thoughts and feelings as me. So when we met, she was like, no, I've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt. So we ended up being like a perfect match, really.
Because I'd already met Claire before, she'd come in and she'd talked in a lecture. I knew her background, so I was very excited to meet her because of the fact that I knew she had a wealth of information. She had a wealth of experience, so I knew I could gain a lot from her. So I was very excited, a bit nervous, because you always are when you're meeting somebody that you've never really been introduced to before, and you know also has got that experience behind them. And yeah, just quite excited to see what could happen from it. But I felt I was prepared. I prepared before I went, so I think that helped a lot. Made me more confident about going in and saying hello and being quite clear about what I wanted to get out of the sessions. So yeah, it was good.
Well, I went through everything I'd done in college previously, and like I printed off loads of stuff for her so I could be like, here's what I've done, so that she could get a measure of me. So I printed off like stuff from like the magazine I worked on and my blog, just so that she'd get a real measure of me, know where my strengths and weaknesses were, and know kind of the direction I wanted to head in.
I did a SWOT analysis, so my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and I really thought about it in a lot more depth than I perhaps normally would have. Thought about it in terms of looking at it in terms of a kind of employment. What were my strengths that I could bring to a job? What were my weaknesses? What did I see as opportunities and threats? And I also thought of a list of questions that I might want to ask her about, say, departments, kind of where I should expect to start, because quite often it's quite hard to expect to know where you should place yourself in terms of job applications. And also the biggest one for me is I'd always thought nutrition was quite clear cut, and it's not. The job titles aren't nutrition, it's usually food and development or health improvement or things like that. So that was one of the big questions I had for her, were what are the titles I should be looking for, where are the key areas. So it was good to have that plan, because then it meant that I had something to go by each time. So it was very good.
Probably like my mentor, really. She knew me before she really knew me, because we were so similar. So she knew exactly what to do to get the most out of me. She went out of her way to get so much work experience for me. So really, like, it was my mentor that was the best part of it, because like if I didn't enjoy her, I wouldn't have enjoyed the experience at all. But no, we were great together, and she done so much for me.
I think I enjoyed most of it, to be honest with you. In fact, there probably wasn't anything that I disliked about it, but it was fantastic to meet Claire. She's very approachable. She kind of helped me to break down barriers, and I probably wouldn't have spoken to her otherwise, because I knew she's very high up in terms of where she's kind of where I would like to get to, and I would be nervous to speak to her, so she helped me kind of feel comfortable around her. She introduced me to other members of her team. Since then, actually, she let me shadow a meeting, and the meeting was to do with the cooking bus, which is focused on food, their project. And since then, I've actually volunteered on that bus in the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow on the Green. And so by meeting those people in the meeting, I then went on and felt really comfortable being on the bus with them and saying hi and having some common interests and discussions. So that was fantastic, and that was probably one of the most favourable parts of it, was the fact that I managed to network, and she helped me do that, so it was very good. Yeah.
Probably the growth and confidence I got. Like I said, when I came to uni, I was really struggling with like, should I really be here? Because I came like coming from college. There's a lot of differences, and I was like, I'm not doing as well as I thought I would. But then, as uni went on, and throughout the employer mentoring experience as well, I got so much confidence. And then by the end of the year and by the end of the employer mentoring scheme, I was like, actually, I'm not too bad at all this. Like, maybe I should be here, and maybe I will get a good degree out at the end of it.
Sounds like you have a great experience.
I did, yeah, I really did.
And what was the most rewarding thing of?
Probably when we reevaluated the SWOT analysis, it was more rewarding being able to take things off the weaknesses because we talked about them, or I'd learned how to deal with them, or I'd really thought about it. And just like seeing the changes, maybe adding more to my strengths, or reevaluating it in terms of what she'd told me, the advice she's given me, the things I've gone on to work on. And probably seeing that there's more opportunities than there are threats now. So that was very rewarding, being able to look at what the before and the after was good. So.
I think like in college it's quite skills based, and at university it's really theory based. So that was quite difficult to deal with because I had all these like communication theories thrown at me, and I was like I'm not sure how this fits into my life. I'm not sure where this fits into getting a job. So that was like really difficult. But in terms of like the employer mentoring scheme, I think the most difficult thing was really the lack of structure, because of like the way our like relationship was. My mentor was actually retired, so we were just like meeting up quite casually and then like discussing things, you know, like trying to get my confidence up, like where I should go next. And like my mentor saying, oh, I've got this work experience for you, you go on this date, and then, you know, they'll look after you. So there wasn't really much structure. There wasn't okay, we'll start here and you'll end here. It was just like a little bit all over the place. I did enjoy it, but if I had a negative, that would be it.
In terms of challenges, I don't really feel that I had any. Claire was so approachable. Any problems I had, I was able to address with her. Maybe the only challenge I could see that I might have had during the experience was fourth year is quite a difficult time, and it's very hard to get the balance between coursework, which is very independent, so you have to keep on top of that yourself. You've got nobody else to drive you, and also job applications, which are a job in itself. It's so lengthy and you need to spend a lot of time in it, and then prepping for the mentoring meetings. That would be maybe the only challenge, but I felt that that was actually okay. I enjoyed doing the preparation and going to my mentor meetings. I enjoyed the advice and making the changes necessary, and I didn't truly start applying for things until maybe about May, because that's when I started to see things. But yeah, that was maybe the biggest challenge for me, was the fact that it was my last year, and it was the very last semester of the last year as well. Just making sure I had everything. I was spending enough time on everything. So yeah.
To make the most out of the employment experience, I think you need to be really open to any opportunity that's going to come around. Ask lots of questions, be very inquisitive. If you're not sure about something, your employer, mentor, will find it out for you. They will know, because they are a lot older than us. They have had a lot more experience than us, so they will know how to answer your questions. They will be able to give you that, share that experience with you. So be open-minded to any opportunity that'll come your way, and just have lots of questions. Don't be afraid to ask, because they'll know. No question is a stupid question, really, is it? So just don't be afraid to ask.
If I was to give recommendations to anybody else, preparation, always be prepared. Because at least if you're prepared and you ensure that everything that you've wanted to cover is being covered, and then if there's any extras, then that's a bonus. If your mentor can bring anything else in, that's a bonus. But as long as you're prepared, I also think it strengthens the relationship you've got with your mentor if you're showing them that you're making an effort and you're coming and you've done what what they have asked you to do beforehand, and you've also prepared and you've got questions for them and you've looked into things, because it's got to be effort on both sides, and if it's one-sided, then that's not fair, and it's not, you're not going to get as much out of it.
Great. Great answer.
Well, in our situation, because Sylvia's retired, my employer's retired, we didn't really prepare. It was more we would go over the work experience that I'd had, like that she'd set up for me, and then like she will have had correspondence with the work experience, and then she'll have had her correspondence with me, so then she could weigh it up and then tell me what they thought, and then I'd tell her what I thought, and then she'd give me advice on how to improve for next time, or like what I need to work on. A lot of the time for me it was confidence, because I'd come in and be like, oh, I'm not sure I did that well, and she was like, no, they loved you, like you did really well. So yeah. Well, she got me work experience my mentor got me work experience at the Festival Theatre, and she also got me work experience with a charity, Aging Well. But through her work and helping me build on my confidence, I myself went out and got work experience with another charity, and then also working at the Commonwealth Games as well, for Infostrada. So that's how she helped me.
From working with Claire, I found that in order to try and make the most out of the sessions, which for me were geared at employment, we looked at competency statements, because in the NHS she knows that that's quite a common point of or part of the application process. So it's not just giving a personal statement where I'm saying I think I'll be good at this because this. It's actually saying I am strong at this, and I can give an example of, which is very hard to do initially, because you've got kind of, it's also a social barrier, you don't want to be seen as boasting. So Claire really helped me through that. I wrote out a few, she helped me kind of layer it and put all my competencies in, try and link examples to certain strengths that I could then pop into job applications. And I think that's what's helped me to get a job with the Scottish Borders, NHS Borders and Scottish Borders Council, which I've just managed to get because I think I had a strong statement which got me into